are interested. Give me your thought. If you had some personnel control in this league, where do you stand today on Carson Wentz?
I think he's a talented guy. I think he needs to be surrounded by a lot of strong leadership. And that's a problem that I see having in Chicago, to be quite honest with you. Their defense got leaders, but offensively right now, they're obviously a little bit upside down. And, and Bruce Arians, I know, is coming on your show later on, Carson, and I will tell you this because I remember hearing Bruce talk about this, and it really made sense. He was talking about he says, some of these quarterbacks have never been under center before. And then he elaborated more and made this point. And here's what I'm talking about Carson Wentz. A quarterback, one guy talks in the huddle, the quarterback. The quarterback's got to be able to get everybody's attention. When New England had the big comeback and they beat when they came back and beat Atlanta in Houston, that Super Bowl.
Did we lose him? There we go. We'll try to get Dave Wannstedt again. He is sitting in Naples, Florida right now, and I'm looking up at the video screen, and he looks to be a little fuzzy. He was right in the Dave's one of the great storytellers, and he was right in the middle of a really good story. so I don't want to disrupt his story. We do have Bruce Arians on next hour. What is interesting with Carson Wentz, I'm not sure if Dave was going to elaborate, is that he comes from a small college, and he goes to Philadelphia, and he had a lot of really good leaders around him. Well, Frank Reich has now taken a head coaching job. So let's go back to Dave Wannstedt. Finish your story on Carson Wentz and Bruce Arians.
Well, the whole story that Bruce was talking about was quarterbacks in his mind are the only ones speaking in the huddle. And he was talking about the young kids coming out of college nowadays that, they take the snap and they get the play from the sideline and they go up the line of scrimmage and yell some numbers out and run the play. Well, a problem with Carson Wentz that I'm told, talking to a lot of people, is his leadership ability. That he lost the team. He lost the offense. And right now, you bring a quarterback like Carson Wentz in, and what Tom Brady did in that Super Bowl, Dion Lewis told us in our postgame show, Tom Brady came into that huddle and told everybody to do their damn jobs. And he said, I'll tell you what, you can count on me doing my job. Dan Marino's last year at Miami, we were down there. Dan came into the huddle. He was at the end. And he came in, they were down one time, and he looked around the huddle and he said, who wants to score a touchdown? I mean, there's a presence and a communication with the quarterback in a huddle when the game's on the line that's invaluable. And I'm not hearing that about Carson Wentz. And that, to me, was a little bit of the problem, for whatever reason, with the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think that's an issue, and I think he's got to go to the right place. And let me tell you about Chicago right now. Chicago is a little bit unraveled as a football team. Everybody can take their shots. But Chicago's a tough-minded, proud city. And when anybody comes out and insinuates that they don't want to be part of it, I'll tell you what, then don't be part of it, because Chicago doesn't mind winning a football game 10-7, okay? They do not need 35 points to be happy in Chicago. I lived it, okay? I lived it. So don't, you want to be part of it, come on, roll your sleeves up and get ready for it. But if you don't, then go somewhere else. And I think that's the approach. I talked to someone this morning. That's pretty much where the Bears are at. We made our offer, and the Bears are exploring other quarterbacks. They're talking around the league without getting into a lot of specifics, and they're ready to go another direction other than Carson Wentz, as much as they'd like to have him.
That's really good.
They've about had it.
Yeah, no, this is why we bring you on. You got all connections throughout the league. So here's interesting with Jimmy Garoppolo. I looked at this morning. There's another story San Francisco's done with him. Dave, we know that when he plays, he wins. We know that. We've seen it. Even Kyle Shanahan struggles without him. Here's an issue, though, and I want you to go back to your career. The 3 times he's been hurt in week 2, and week 3. That tells me, Dave, he's brittle. He comes out of a camp. By early September, he's banged up. It's not like he gave me 15 great weeks. You know, Mahomes had this where he got hurt at the end of the year and all those reps and all those snaps and all those hits. I understand players at the end of the year getting banged up. What would you do with Garoppolo? Clearly he's successful. Dave, I don't think he can stay healthy. His body's telling me it can't.
Yeah, some quarterbacks and running backs. I think this is at every position. I mean, Emmitt Smith, you know, and I played with Tony Dorsett, and Emmitt Smith, I was there coaching him at Dallas. Some running backs and quarterbacks in every position just find a way not to get hit in the fashion that they're going to kind of stay healthy. And he doesn't protect himself very well, in my opinion. You can't blame it on the offensive style because they run a quarterback-friendly offense, okay? And so he's not dropping back and throwing it 50 times a game. We all know that. So to me, we can't do anything more to protect you. We got the offensive line. We got play-action passes. We're moving you. We're doing everything we can. That is a concern. Yeah. No question about it. I would be concerned about it. And I don't think San Francisco is going to do anything until they can get somebody better. If they can get somebody better, they know they can win with Garoppolo. They know they can win with them. And that's a lot. A lot of these teams cannot say that.
Yeah. So J.J. Watt's on the market. Listen,
I love it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think he fits Green Bay, and I've said this before. Green Bay, it's almost symbolic. Everybody in the NFC is aggressive, and Green Bay sits back there. They win a bunch of games, and they have kind of a style, and they don't go big after free agents. And sometimes it doesn't mean you're changing your culture, Dave. Sometimes you got to go for it. It sends a message in the room that we're going to be aggressive. I think it elevates players' confidence. I think Green Bay needs to go after J.J. Watt, but he's not cheap. He's been around a while. He's had injuries. Your thoughts on him as a player and what would he mean? Where would it fit for you?
Well, I love J.J. Watt. And let me say this. My first reaction is not Green Bay. As much as every team could use him, their two tackles, when they were playing their best defense of the year at the end of the year, it was Clark and it was Gary were the two guys, in my opinion, that were playing at a high level. They're two inside guys, and they were making a difference. So I would not even consider Green Bay if I was with the Packers. I like my young guys. The team I would look, you look at the bottom five teams on defense, and he's a 4-3 guy. I would love to see, being a Pittsburgh guy, I would love to see the love story of him going back and playing with his two brothers in Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh's a 3-4 team, and he's got to be on the edge of the guard or on the edge of the tackle outside rushing off the edge. That's what the guy does best. He's not in there going to get double teamed and use him up as a blocker. So I think you got to look at a 4-3 team. And the team that I looked at, I was looking at that this morning, and the Tennessee Titans are a 4-3 team. They were a bottom five defense. They have a chance to make a run at the big dance. If I was J.J. Watt, I would want to go to a successful team, a team that's going to play a 4-3, and give me a chance. Hey, I don't have many years left. Give me a chance to do what I can do best. Go to one of those 4-3 teams that are going to win. I say Tennessee Titans.
Listen, if you were coaching Houston, and Deshaun Watson would be happier than he is now, but if a quarterback's unhappy and he's a very verbal person, it just seeps through the entire organization. Could I make the argument he just came off his best year? You got 4 to 5 teams willing to have a bidding war for him. You've got a high draft pick, and there's 4 or 5 good college quarterbacks. That maybe now he's been injured before. He wasn't injured this year. Could I make the argument, Dave? Listen, you don't want to trade him. There's a bidding war for a healthy star quarterback. You may get more picks than you've ever imagined off him right now.
Yeah, I mean, in the state of their team right now, I don't think that'll happen, but I would not be shocked. I mean, there was talk earlier about this week about Dallas, about Jerry signing Dak and then trading them, to Houston for a bunch of picks, and Deshaun Watson going there. If I'm Deshaun Watson, San Francisco, I know they would love to have him because they're the style of offense. When he plays his best, early in the year, he was just going to be a pat. And then when he uses his legs and he's not afraid to run some, boy, the guy is better, as good as anybody in the league. If I'm him, I'm looking at one of those type of teams where I can obviously excel at my skills. But, boy, Houston's a tough one. I mean, the head coach is not even picking the assistant coaches here. I'm still trying to figure this one out. The general manager, I mean, you go into the first staff meeting and you're introducing everybody around the room. I was talking to a guy the other day. I said, what happens when somebody, little things like this, Colin, that people don't understand. If you're in an NFL practice and somebody jumps off sides, okay, every coach better be reacting the same way. And I've seen it where a guy jumps offside. One coach wants to run everybody in a lap. The other coach wants to do 10 push-ups. The other coach wants to run the play 5 times in a row. These little things. The point that I'm making is Houston right now, it's really, I don't know how they're going to pull this thing together fast enough. Deshaun Watson is in a very difficult situation. Very difficult situation. And I could go on for this for hours. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't have enough time.
Finally, there's always been this sense, Dave, that you draft a quarterback and then you develop him and then you win with him.
Yep.
But now we've seen Brady acquired